Have you ever watched a horror movie where someone finally escapes, only for the ending to destroy that hope completely? Some horror films do not just end with one final scare. They end by making everything feel cruel, hopeless, and impossible to survive. So today I'm going through 12 horror movies with endings that are seriously brutal and hard to forget. Number 1, Maniacs. Maniacs follows college students traveling through the southern United States. Their trip takes a strange turn when they arrive in Pleasant Valley, a small town full of smiling locals and a celebration that feels way too intense. One by one, the tourists disappear, while the townspeople treat the massacre like entertainment. By the end, Joey and Anderson are the only ones with the chance of escaping. Anderson gets captured, but he breaks free and forces Mayor Buckman to let them go. For a moment, it looks like they survived. They escape, find a sheriff, and return to the town. But Pleasant Valley is gone. There is only an old cemetery. The sheriff reveals that the residents were killed during the Civil War and return every year as vengeful ghosts. A sign explains the curse. 2001 Northerners must die in return. And just when Joey and Anderson think they are free, the town still has one final surprise. Number 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Beginning follows young people traveling through Texas, but their road trip becomes a nightmare after they cross paths with the Hewitt family. Leatherface is part of a violent family that controls the entire nightmare. By the final act, Chrissy is the only survivor left. She has escaped the Hewitt house and watched everyone around her get destroyed. Her boyfriend Eric is still alive for a short time, but she is forced to witness Leatherface killing him inside a slaughterhouse. After that, Chrissy runs, finds a car, and drives away into the darkness. For a few seconds, the movie gives you hope. Chrissy is away from the house, inside a car, and she even sees police nearby. But Leatherface has been hiding in the backseat the whole time. He suddenly attacks from behind with his chainsaw, Chrissy crashes, and even the police officer who looked like her rescue is killed. The ending lets her almost escape, only to reveal the killer was already with her. Number 3. Quarantine. In Quarantine, reporter Angela Vidal and cameraman Scott are filming firefighters during a night shift when they enter an apartment building after an emergency call. At first, it seems like a strange medical situation, but then the residents start acting violently. The government seals the building from the outside, trapping everyone inside without explanation. By the end, almost everyone is dead or infected, and Angela and Scott are the only ones left. Their search takes them into the attic, where they find evidence connected to experiments, a mutated rabies virus, and something worse than a normal infection. Then a thin, deformed figure appears in the darkness and attacks Scott, smashing the camera light. From that point on, the scene is mostly seen through night vision. Scott is killed, the camera falls, and Angela crawls toward it in complete panic. Before she can escape, something grabs her and drags her into the darkness. There is no rescue and no final escape. The building simply swallows her. Number 4. Pet Sematary. The 2019 version of Pet Sematary changes one of the most famous moments from the original story. Instead of little Gage being hit by the truck, this version kills Ellie, the older daughter of the Creed family. After Ellie dies, Lewis buries her in the cursed cemetery hidden in the woods. When she returns, she looks and speaks like Ellie, but something is clearly wrong. Ellie kills Judd, the neighbor who introduced Lewis to the burial ground. Soon after, Rachel returns home and is killed by her own daughter. In the final minutes, Louis protects little Gage by locking him inside the family car. For a moment, it seems like Gage might survive. But Rachel comes back from the cemetery and kills Louis, and then Louis returns too. Ellie, Rachel, Louis, and Church walk toward the car where Gage is trapped. Then Louis unlocks the door. The movie cuts away, but the meaning is obvious. Gage is about to join them. Number 5. Cloverfield. Cloverfield begins like a normal party video. Friends are recording a goodbye party in New York City when a massive creature suddenly attacks Manhattan. They are just people trying to survive while the city collapses around them. By the final act, Rob, Beth, Hud, and the remaining survivors reach a military evacuation point. Lily gets onto one helicopter while Rob, Beth, and Hud board another. As they fly over the city, they watch the military bombing the monster. For a moment, it looks like the creature might finally be defeated, but the hope does not last. The monster rises from the smoke and attacks the helicopter. Rob, Beth, and Hud survive, but they are still trapped in the city. Then the monster kills Hud. With nowhere left to run, Rob and Beth hide under a bridge, while the military prepares the Hammer Down protocol. They record final messages, and then the bombs begin falling. The footage cuts out in the middle of the destruction. Number 6. Inbred. Inbred follows troubled teens and their social workers who end up in an isolated village called Mortlake. The people there treat murder like entertainment, and once the outsiders are trapped, the story becomes a brutal survival nightmare. By the end, Kate, Tim, and Sam are among the last ones alive. Kate tries escaping through the fields, but one local attacks her with a chainsaw and badly injures her leg. Tim hides in a basement and tries to fight back using liquor bottles and a Molotov cocktail, but the plan fails because the alcohol is not strong enough to ignite. He gets killed too. That leaves Sam as the final survivor. She runs through the open fields, but the locals catch up and start placing bets on how she will die. Then Sam steps onto a hidden landmine and has to stand perfectly still. A ferret crawls inside her clothes, causing her to panic and move. The landmine explodes. The ending is cruel and absurd because the village was always in control. Number 7. Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever from 2016 follows 5 college friends who travel to a remote cabin for a vacation. The real threat is a flesh-eating virus spreading through contaminated water. Once the group comes into contact with it, everything slowly falls apart. The terrifying part is that the enemy cannot really be fought. Marcy shows symptoms and is later attacked by the infected dog. Karen gets worse, and Paul eventually ends her suffering because he knows there is no way to save her. Bert tries to return to the cabin, but the terrified locals kill him. Paul survives for a little longer, but he also dies alone. That leaves Jeff, who spent much of the chaos hiding and drinking beer to avoid the contaminated water. When he returns, he thinks he survived everything. But then he notices symptoms on his own hand. Before he can understand what that means, the police kill him. Nobody survives. The infection wins completely. Number 8. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. The Dyatlov Pass incident follows young filmmakers who travel to Russia to investigate the real-life Dyatlov Pass mystery, where 9 hikers died under strange circumstances in 1959. By the final act, only Holly and Jensen are still alive. While trying to escape the mountain, they discover a hidden military bunker under the ice. Inside, they find evidence connected to teleportation and time manipulation experiments. The creatures chasing them are connected to those experiments. Holly and Jensen find a portal and jump through it because they believe it is their only chance to survive. But instead of saving them, the portal sends them back to 1959, directly into the original incident. Passing through the portal transforms them into the same creatures that had been hunting them. The ending also explains reports of 11 bodies instead of 9. Holly and Jensen become the 2 extra bodies in the snow, and one creature's tattoo confirms the time loop has closed. Number 9. The Devil's Rejects. The Devil's Rejects follows the Firefly family after the police finally close in on them. Otis, Baby, and Captain Spaulding are violent criminals, but the movie follows them like the main characters of a twisted outlaw road movie. By the final act, the Firefly family has survived Sheriff Wydell's revenge and torture. They are wounded and exhausted, but they steal a car and drive away. For a moment, it feels like they might keep running forever. Then they reach a massive police roadblock. There are police cars, armed officers, and no way around it. Instead of surrendering, the 3 drive straight into the barricade. Free Bird plays as they load their guns and move toward certain death. They shoot at the police, and the police fire back, completely destroying the car. The ending feels like a final violent statement from characters who would rather die than be captured. Even though they were later brought back in 3 from Hell, this still feels like the true ending. Number 10. Rec 3. Genesis. Rec 3. Genesis takes the infection horror of the RX series and places it inside a wedding. Clara and Coldo are supposed to be having the happiest day of their lives, surrounded by family, friends, music, and celebration. But after one guest becomes infected and violent, the wedding turns into a massacre. Clara and Koldo are separated in the chaos. By the final act, they finally reunite, but they are surrounded. Their only chance comes when a priest reads scripture through the loudspeakers, temporarily stopping the infected. It seems like they might escape, but Koldo's grandfather cannot hear the scripture because he is not wearing his hearing aid. He attacks Clara and bites her. Koldo tries to save her by cutting off her arm with a sword, but it is already too late. As they reach the exit, soldiers tell Koldo to stay away because Clara is transforming, but he refuses to leave her. He hugs her, kisses her, and accepts what is coming. Seconds later, the soldiers shoot them both. Number 11. Day of the Dead 2. Contagium. Day of the Dead 2. Contagium is a strange zombie movie because the infected are not just mindless monsters. Some of them can still speak, think, and act like they are becoming something beyond human. The movie mixes zombie horror with science fiction, making the virus feel less like a disease and more like a disturbing version of evolution. Isaac, Emma, and Dr. Donwin try to survive while everything falls apart. But some infected believe they are becoming a new species and they want everyone else to join them. By the final act, the hospital is completely overrun. Boris, Jackie, and Sam have become part of the infected side, while the remaining survivors have almost no way out. Boris kills Ava, and Isaac realizes that if he stays alive, he will either be killed or transformed. With no escape left, he uses the last bullet on himself. Meanwhile, the infection spreads into the city. Everyone either dies, transforms, or loses the world to the outbreak. Number 12. Downrange. Downrange is built around one simple but terrifying idea. Friends get stranded on an empty road after their tire blows out. They quickly realize the tire was shot. A sniper is hiding somewhere in the distance, and now they are trapped behind the vehicle with almost no cover. By the end, most of the group is dead, and Karen and Jody are the only ones left. They set the car on fire to create a smoke screen. Then a police car arrives, and for a moment, it feels like rescue has finally come. But the sniper immediately starts killing the officers too. Karen gets shot, leaving Jody as the last survivor. She fights back by driving a police vehicle into the tree where the sniper is hiding. The crash knocks him down. She grabs his rifle, but the gun jams, so she starts beating him with it. Then she sees marks carved into the rifle, counting his victims. Furious, she hits him again, but the impact accidentally causes the weapon to fire into her. After surviving almost everything, Jody dies in the cruelest possible way. The movie never explains who the sniper was or why he did it, and that is what makes these endings so brutal. Some of these movies give the characters one last chance to escape, only to rip it away in the final seconds. Others make it clear the nightmare was impossible to survive from the beginning. If you want more horror movies with seriously disturbing endings, click the video on screen and watch that next. I'll see you there.